for president. That's exactly
all right. We're diving headfirst into this, into what happened last night. Absolute bedlam, absolute chaos. It was an absolute disaster, an absolute fucking disaster, an unmitigated disaster of epic proportions. The Democratic Party thought the expectations are low for Joseph Robinette Brandon. The Democratic Party thought, oh, we'll just put him out there and he'll go out and he'll perform and he won't die on stage. We'll give him the right kinds of drugs or whatever. And he'll be able to, he'll be able to perform. And everyone will look at that and juxtapose him, candidate who is not dead. We promise you he's not dead, with Donald Trump. They'll see Trump being chaotic. They'll see Trump being insane. And they'll see Joseph Robinette Brandon be normal and certainly not dead. We promise you he is not dead. He's very much alive, right? That was the goal. That's why they did it so early. They did it so early to show America, because this is an unceremoniously early debate. So this was like what the Democratic Party thought was going to be a banger. And it was, of course, in the most, classic Democratic Party move, an absolute fucking disaster, because Joe Brandon did not perform. He could not prove to the world that he is alive. Okay. He could not prove to the world that he was live, nor was he alive. He proved to the world that he was, as a matter of fact, not doing great. So much so that Donald Trump did do classic Donald Trump shit throughout the entire 90 minutes of this debate, and absolutely zero people care about it. People are not even talking about it. People are barely even registering anything that Donald Trump said, even though he said the same things over and over again. He literally was like, I stubbed my toe. That's immigrants, undocumented migrants. They're changing the furniture in your homes and you're stubbing your toes. People didn't even fucking look at that. Like, people didn't even factor that into the conversation because of how unimaginably awful the Biden performance was, right? So let's take a look at what the media is saying, because in the immediate aftermath, there was a state of sheer panic. Not even in the immediate aftermath, as a matter of fact, 10 minutes into the debate, when Joe Biden first had that fuck moment, everybody started going, oh fuck, oh my God, he's not going to do it. And he did have a slow start. He tried to recover later on. I don't know why. Normally you're supposed to be, more with it in the beginning of the debate. And then the second half, you get crazy. That's usually his performance. Judging his old performances, you look at him in the first half, he's like kind of fine. And then in the second half, his brain starts pooping, but people don't care about it. Biden dropped the ball 10 minutes in. And then immediately after that, you had people going, oh no, we are so... Yeah, it was 9:11 p.m. Eastern when he broke down, literally 10 minutes into the debate. By far the most frustrating thing about Biden's performance last night is that for the extremely politically plugged in folks like ourselves, if we use 100% of our brain power, we could sort of understand what he was trying to get at, but that's not how it's supposed to work. Exactly. And even on that front, there are many problems, right? Like, if Biden came out there and just like demonstrated that he's competent, most of mainstream media would say, see, he's very much alive. Fuck you guys. You guys are faking it. You guys are doing AI clips of Biden, making it seem like he's not with it. But I would still be very critical, because there were a lot of moments on the policy front where he absolutely missed key details that he could point to about the accomplishments of his administration, about what it will look like if you reelect him, how he will expand on certain things that he's done, whether it be the IRA. Like, there were so many opportunities that he missed. There was a major flub early on with the abortion conversation. That was a layup. He fucking took the layup and launched it into space. He took it back down to the court and dunked it on himself. We're going to cover all of that in a second, though. Let's start
with the first ever debate between a president and a former president turned out to be. From the start, Joe Biden struggled to answer questions, reinforcing questions about his age. Trump launched a series of lies and misleading attacks, but he faced scant fact-checking, and he did it in a forceful manner. By the time the 90 minutes were up, the drumbeat about Biden's age from Democrats had key figures from across the party talking.
Yeah, it's like now they're trying to do pickup. They're trying to do like a little bit of spin after everybody saw what everybody saw to be like, oh, Trump lied a lot. It's like, yes, dude, we know he was the fucking president. Like, what are we talking about? We know he lies. We know he lies all the time, dude. What do you mean? Oh my God, I can't believe he lied. Like, Joe Biden personally was like, oh, you can't debate a liar. It's like, yes, dude, you can. And if you can't, then you don't fucking do it. You debated this guy and you won before. What are we talking about? So it's not like a new thing. Trump didn't come in with some new shit. Trump's narrative hasn't even changed since like 2015, 2016. His narrative is still the same. He's saying the same shit. He just elevated it. Now he's adding new stuff now he's expanding on the old talking points. Like, now he's saying black jobs. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll find out. But hey, you know what would have been great? If Joe Brandon was equipped mentally to turn around and be like, what do you mean by black jobs? Can you tell me what you mean by black jobs? Like, what are we talking about? That sounds kind of weird. And it is very frustrating that he is not equipped to be able to do that, because he's not even equipped to fucking walk on that stage, brother. I'm sorry. And it's like such a laughably obvious thing that anyone who has eyes can see, and yet manufactured consent is so motherfucking powerful that like the media apparatus, at least seemingly, made the rest of the people in the media, like in the New York Times op-ed piece writers, and also the entirety of the Democratic donor base, perfectly blind to this massive inadequacy of Joe Biden. If you're genuinely shocked right now, you're fucking stupid. You have not paid attention at all, dude.
About replacing Biden on the ticket. Rachel Scott starts us off from Atlanta. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. This was the biggest political stage yet of the 2024 campaign. And Democrats are really looking to President Biden to put to rest those questions and concerns about his age. But this morning, his performance is only fueling more and sending his party scrambling.
This morning, panic and concern within the Democratic Party after this debate performance from President Biden.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
From the start of the debate, the president speaking with a raspy voice, at times stumbling and trailing off, unable to finish his thought, even on the issues at the heart of his campaign, like abortion rights.
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the
Bro, this is literally Sun Tzu, okay? Don't interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake shit right here. Like the first 25 minutes was a clinic for Trump. He shut the fuck up. He didn't go crazy. He had a couple jabs in there, but just like very sneaky. And he didn't do the second half shit that he was doing. He just waited and just looked over and was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, which was the best thing he could have done. And then, of course, he unfolded and went nutty mode in the second half. But by that point, it's over because everyone is like, what the fuck is this cadaver doing on the stage? The dynamic changed dramatically. Well, you know, not dramatically, but the dynamic certainly changed. But that's all Trump had to do was just sit back and be like, look at this. Look at this. You want this again?
the woman in the state.
The Biden campaign telling reporters the president, who is 81 years old, had a cold, something they did not mention until an hour into the debate. Trump questioning Biden's mental fitness.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
It was the first time the two candidates have come face to face in 4 years.
He's, without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Also, CNN fucked up by trying to make this shit more civil. If they weren't muting and cutting them off, we wouldn't have noticed how bad they both are. No, honestly, they tried to save Biden multiple times by being like, you're out of time. You realize that, right? There was a couple exit ramps that they gave to Biden with the mute where they were like, you're out of time, President, Mr. President. And he would go, oh, they tried to save his ass. I felt like I was watching him just like holding on for dear fucking life. Do you know what I mean? I felt like he was just sitting there inside of his mind, trapped in his own fucking brain prison, going, please just say the words right. Please just say the words right. While every other part of his body was just failing. That is not a convincing re-election candidate. That's not a convincing incumbent that is going to have a major advantage. I mean, this back and forth, like him using all of his brain power, trying to fucking, get the talking points out while also simultaneously standing next to Donald Trump. Like it was a terrible, terrible performance. The damn near entirety of the New York Times op-ed team is in agreement with me, which is crazy. It's really, 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 really bad. The Democratic donors were in a state of panic, and yet there's only two people that maybe could make a difference here is Jill Biden and Barack Obama. And it turns out Barack Obama came out and said, fuck no, I'm still riding with Biden. So they are locked in, it seems. His campaign came out earlier this morning and said, of course we're not dropping out. What are you talking about? Just something to consider.
Almost immediately, the attacks turning personal.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
When he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
That clearly didn't sit well with Biden, delivering his most direct attack yet on some of the allegations surrounding Trump.
The crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
And Biden going after Trump for his actions on January 6th and his promise to pardon the rioters who stormed the Capitol.
He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are
Bro, this was the method. Like he needed to goad him from the jump. He needed to go at him from the jump. He needed to come in there and be like, why am I having a conversation with a convicted felon right now? What is the state of American democracy? This motherfucker is crazy. You just let him unwind. He only baited him in the second half. And he also personally couldn't even fucking hold it together in the first half where it mattered. Massive alley-oops were lost. It just doesn't make any sense. Because the goal here is to show that Trump is incompetent, Trump is dangerous, Trump is chaotic, and Trump is a racist madman who wants to be a dictator, right? And while all of those things might be true, and I certainly believe those things to be true, by the way, okay, make no mistake. If you fail to demonstrate those things when it matters, then you are not capable of being the guy, the only guy who can beat Trump. Because remember, that's how we rolled out Biden. This is the only guy who can beat Trump at a time when there were plenty of people who could beat Trump, right? And now he's lost it completely. Oh.
are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
But when pressed on his actions, Trump deflected, and he would not say whether he would accept the results of the November election.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous.
Trump pushed several false claims, from insisting there was no terror during his administration to claiming that...
Yes, every minute that Biden threw a barb at Trump and made Trump scramble to defend himself for like a whole minute, he was winning. Exactly. And he should have fucking stayed with that energy from the start. He should have immediately hit him on the felony stuff to like unwind him. That was the number one thing. That was the number one thing that fucking pissed him off right off the jump. They talked about fucking generals for like literally half the debate. It's so stupid. For the purposes of like ostensibly showing, because like the Democratic Party's goal there is to show the world how incompetent and how dangerous Trump is. Their goal also is to simultaneously prove that Brandon isn't a fucking cadaver that is rotting in front of our eyes, right? They failed on both counts. They failed on both counts. And they failed so spectacularly that that became the thing to talk about. And then that also created a separate news cycle about the Democratic panic happening. Massive, massive L. Unimaginable L's.
Every legal scholar in the world supported overturning Roe versus Wade.
CNN did a terrible job calling out Trump's lies. CNN is a right-wing institution. CNN has openly stated their desires in pivoting to the right. I'm sorry, this was a mutually agreed on negotiated process, so much so that they didn't even use the presidential election committee in order to host this debate. You cannot fucking cry to the refs after the fact. That's it.
Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
At one point, the two oldest candidates in history bickering over...
Like, that's the funniest lie across the board. It's like one of the most consequential ones. The notion that like every single legal scholar and every single Democrat wanted Roe v. Wade overturned is basically akin to going up on that stage and being like, the earth is flat. Okay. And I believe it. And you do too. Everyone believes the world is flat. The easiest retort to that is, what are you talking about? Name a single legal scholar. You are so insane.
For their golf game.
I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
How is it?
Yeah, that's also fucking so dumb. It made both of them look like goddamn dinguses. You're supposed to jab at him, not get down to his level to that degree, man. What are you talking about? Absolutely nobody gives a fuck. I guess voters care. I guess voters care about the golf shit, right? Like, I assume like the people who actually go out and vote overwhelmingly care about the golf stuff, right? Like this is the last audience that will look at the golf shit and go like, yeah, no, that was actually a great conversation or whatever.
8 handicap.
Yeah. Never.
Rory Mays, thank you for the 5
I've
gifted.
seen you swing. I know you swing.
Hey,
let's
you know,
not act
nobody
like
around
children.
And while Biden tried to address his age head on,
This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around there.
the most consequential night of the campaign ended with only more questions.